on the edge of greenness, turning darkness to light. We're right beside you, ready to fight. We're gonna win in the end. We must be strong and we must be brave. We must be brave. We gotta fight every bit of strength that we have and never let it go. We must be strong.
Welcome to PCMC. I am Mike Bongiorno. Sitting with me, the Princess of Power himself, Mr. Emilio J. Sparks.
For the honor of Grayskull.
Bum, 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 bum. She-Ra.
And then I grow to a big 8-foot tall muscular Amazon woman.
Well, now you do. So, this minisode is all about She-Ra and the Princesses of Princesses of Power. Not the original show was called Princess of Power.
Yeah,
but this is all
princesses.
about this is about the princesses.
And I like the princesses over the princess.
Is that right?
I like the mermaid princess.
Mermosa.
She's so existential, like blah. I love it.
She's that's what that actress does.
Who is that?
That's Vella Lovell.
Mm-hmm.
She plays Heather on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend.
Let me see what she looks like.
She always plays like a sort of valley girl, like I don't give a shit. That's like her whole vibe, like whatever. Like that's her thing.
Yeah, she's great.
She's great. She's the mermaid princess.
They got the voices down.
Well,
like the people that the actors and actresses that they picked to do the voices, they got down completely.
I really like She-Ra's voice. She-Ra is voiced by Amy Carrero.
Yeah.
Glimmer is voiced by Karen Fukuhara. You know who's really good? AJ Michaela is Catra.
Mm-hmm.
AJ Michaela plays what's her name? She's on the Goldbergs. She's the sister's best friend.
Yeah.
They're in a band together. She dates the brother Barry.
Yep, and then they're doing
I
a spin-off.
watched that show too. Why can't I think of her name?
They're also doing a spin-off about that show where she goes to college.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
She's fantastic. I actually think her voice for Catra is amazing. Catra's the breakout star of the series.
All right, so how do you want to get into this first?
I don't know. All right.
Do we want to go straight Catra, just appreciation? Or...
You know what? Let's talk a little bit about the show.
Right.
So this is the Netflix She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, produced by DreamWorks, who also did Voltron. It is a 10-episode series rebooted from the 80s animated series. We've talked about it before in the show because when it was first announced, some people on the internet, mostly neckbeards, were upset because the character was flat-chested and, I don't know, they couldn't jerk off to it anymore and they didn't like the look of it and all that stupid bullshit. But
well, the animation definitely resembles a Steven's Universe kind of vibe.
It's got that kind of vibe, yeah. It was released last week or a week and a half ago, and I've watched it all. You've watched it all. I think it's amazing.
I banged it out in 2 days.
I watched it in 3 days, and I started rewatching it again. It is definitely a kid show, but it's got good characters. Some of the character relationships I think are actually kind of complex. It tells the story. It basically tells the story the same way, except it doesn't have He-Man in it. But the door is open for He-Man to come into it.
Well, they mentioned Grayskull, and now it's
and
like,
Eternia.
Well, what is Grayskull? She says this chant before she transforms into She-Ra.
Right, for the honor of Grayskull.
So what is Grayskull?
Well, I was rewatching the first episode again today, and when she first touches the Sword of Power, she touches the Sword of Power. She's a bad guy originally. She works for the evil Horde, and she's brainwashed by them. She thinks that princesses are evil.
And this zapped her brain.
Right. And she touches the sword, and then she says, by the honor of Grayskull, and becomes She-Ra. But anyway, when she first touches the sword, she gets a vision, and you hear a baby crying. You see a planet. You see something land on the planet.
Yeah.
So that's got to be her as a baby
From Eternia.
from Eternia.
Yeah.
I think how they changed it was,
King Randall sold her off to Hordak.
well, that's your theory.
Oh.
In the original series, it was Hordak stole her, but in this, I think it's
Shadow Whisper?
Shadow Weaver.
Okay.
Yeah, because she seems like Hordak's not really in it that much. He's the big boss, but we don't see him as much as we saw him in the old show. It's more Shadow Weaver, who was in the old show, but she's like their mother. She raised Adora, and I think she stole Adora.
Like, I have an issue with that though. Like, both
Why?
him, Shadow Weaver, and Hordak. They're not
Yeah.
scary, compelling villains. Like, oh shit.
Well, remember,
Like, I don't look at the evil horde as this group that is supposed to be terrorizing this planet and trying to take it over, killing it of its natural resources, and then moving on to the next thing. I see them as a bumbling troop of just morons.
really, I think Hordak, he's not as scary looking, and his voice isn't as scary. But I believe them as a threat. I don't think they're bumbling.
I mean, they haven't gotten it right. The evil horde, like they've only taken over one area, the Darklands of this planet,
The Fright Zone.
Yeah, the Fright Zone. They haven't really.
Well, one of the things the show does, though, is they try to make the bad guys have as much nuance as the good guys. So, like, the bad guys, Scorpia and Catra and Shadow Weaver, they're not 100% evil. You know, Scorpia is a really interesting character because she's clearly in love with Catra, but Catra, like, she's
is
like
in love with She-Ra.
right, or at least that's what the fans believe.
Oh, come on! You don't see the sexual chemistry?
No,
between
I
those
do.
two?
I'm just saying when friend of the show Kat Kalamia interviewed Noelle Stevens, the creative Lumberjanes and producer of She-Ra, she asked her about it, and she said that all of they're young and their relationships are still growing. So she didn't say that she explicitly saw them as a couple. But it doesn't matter what the creator thinks, because that's the fans see it. What's amazing to me is I've never seen a show create a fandom that quickly. I'm saying the next day after it came out, there were Tumblrs and Instagrams and fan art and I've never seen something blossom like that. I am following like 6 different She-Ra and Catra
Yeah, it's not creepy at
Instagrams. No, it's not creepy,
not
at,
creepy
all.
at all.
No. Basically, Catra is a villain and She-Ra was a villain, and She-Ra sees the light and she decides to join the princesses and be a good guy and fight for the rebellion.
Yeah.
And Catra feels betrayed because they were best friends, they grew up together, they took care of each other, and you can see, you know, Catra is very queer coded. Like, there's a scene where there's an episode where they go to like the princess prom, and Catra's wearing a suit with like an undone what do you call it? Necktie. She's almost got like that sort of androgynous vibe.
Yeah.
So the ship is Catradora, right? That's the ship name, and a lot of people ship Catradora. I ship them a little bit too, but Catra's got to turn good. That's what has to happen. She's got to.
Does she though?
She did in the old show, but we've the old show. It's interesting.
They threw out. Listen, the old show's gone.
I was just going to disagree with you. I was going to say that it's its own thing and it's new and it's got its own values. Yet the characters are there and the settings are there. In some ways, it's very faithful, and in some ways, it's not faithful at all. The tone is not faithful. It's its own thing. It's its own.
I thought the first series was very boring, because that's on Netflix too.
It's so
I
old
watched a
at this
couple of
point.
that.
I haven't watched it in years,
That's
but
what
I
I'm saying.
imagine I'd be bored out of my mind.
But it was very, like me. I was also watching He-Man for a little while,
And those bore me now too.
I checked out after like episode 20. I was like, I'm out.
I mean, they were interesting animation, but they were for little kids, and we liked them as little kids, and they were toys.
Yeah.
You know, what's interesting is He-Man, we've talked about He-Man a million times on the show, but He-Man came out of these toys and also came out of this weird toxic masculinity, and where even to the point where, like, when She was created, the men at Mattel were like resentful of it, like, oh, you're ruining the brand with She-Ra. And now She-Ra is such an SJ dub. It's such a LGBTQIA friendly show. And ironically, there are, as of now, no She-Ra toys. And people online are like, my daughter loves this. I wanted to get her She-Ra toys for Christmas. And there's 2 figures coming out, and they're not hitting stores till January. I know because I want She-Ra toys. And the only 2 figures that are coming out are She-Ra and Catra.
Which all you really need.
Which is, yeah, I mean, to start a collection.
That's how it starts.
Yeah.
And then it grows over time.
Yeah.
You know, I think what they need to work on in season 2 is having Adora explore her powers more, because it was blind luck.
Yeah.
That final battle.
Yes. And the princesses helped her.
Yeah.
And Bo.
I have no use for Bo.
Why? I like
I
new
have
Bo.
no use for Bo.
The old Bo was a redheaded guy with a mustache.
Very creepy. Yeah, it looked like Errol Flynn.
The new Bo is voiced by
18-year-old.
Basically, I forget his real name, but he's Junior from Blackish.
Yeah.
His voice always cracks. I like Bo.
No, listen. I love like the
Glimmer.
character. I love the character.
Yeah.
But it's like
he's not a princess. He doesn't add
like
to
you don't add anything to it. Like
he's
I
like a
get it.
sidekick.
Listen, the best episode
Yeah.
was Princess Prom.
That's my second favorite episode.
What was your first one?
The Promise.
Oh, that is a good one too. But
Tell me about Princess Prom.
see, he served no value to me in Princess Prom. It was just, oh well, you know, Glimmer was jealous that he was with somebody else.
Right.
And they haven't addressed their feelings for each other.
Who was he with? Oh, Perfuma.
He was with Perfuma.
Who she can make flowers and shit grow.
Yeah, and she has like the pretty blonde hair and like the tan skin and the hippie vibe or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you have Glimmer, who is littler and, you know, more.
I like that she's thick. She's got a real body.
Let me tell you something. The animation I have an issue with, but I like the representation that not every princess within this show is a callback to the statuesque princess of
Right.
the 80s film,
You're in
of the 80s cartoon.
Right. They all look the same.
Yeah.
Probably because they wanted to use the same mold to make the toys.
Yeah.
But they all were statuesque and big. I like that Glimmer is sort of short and has short hair, and I like that you know, they look different, and they're different. They're some of them are people of color that they weren't people of color before.
But out of the heroes, Glimmer is the most developed character that they have. I think the most empty
'cause
character that they have so far
Because she's got the mother.
is She-Ra.
Okay.
I don't think there's no real, like, it's like, you know what it reminds me of? When it was Bill Bixby and the Hulk in the 70s. You would get maybe 2 or 3 transformations, and that was the big thing. Like, oh, okay, I'm just waiting for David to transform into Hulk. I'm waiting for Adora to transform into She-Ra. And then something amazing is going to happen. But then it never really happened. It would just be like, she would bumble, she would try to figure it out, she would run off into a couple of scenes that I liked. For the honor of Grayskull,
Right.
she
She
would run
doesn't
off and
totally know what she's doing yet.
Yeah.
It's not like old.
So I wasn't wowed with the fact that, like, oh my god.
But I liked Adora.
So do I. But I think the She-Ra character fell flat.
Yeah, well, but I understand what you mean.
'Cause
She
Adora
didn't
had
fall
a sense
flat,
of-
but she didn't. She doesn't know who she is yet, or what she can do.
But see, Adora had an identity of who she was and what she needs to do. Specifically when the sorceress or that digital sorceress tells her, you have to let go of everything that you know and stop putting people before you and start to legitimately train to understand your powers.
Right.
It's either one or the other. You can't have both. And she's like, no, I can have both.
Right.
That, to me, is real heroic and brave of the
Right.
secondary character, because Adora's the secondary character. Let's keep it real. She-Ra is the primary character within the same person.
I don't think so. I think we're with Adora much more.
But you want to see She-Ra more.
I don't know if I agree with that. Well, you know, something
think
that's
back as a little kid. What are you going to watch? Now, we're looking at it as 2 grown men who want to see the development and the story arc play out.
I don't know
When
if-
you're a kid, you want to see, by the honor of Grayskull, bada boom, she transforms and she's kicking the shit out
maybe
of the
when I
hole.
was a kid, but I think little kids now probably are
Think
really
they're more
into
hip to the game now?
I mean, I just posted a video. Actually, one of the artists of the show posted a video on Twitter, and then I reposted it on Facebook. And it's these two little girls. They look like they're 6 years old, and they're watching She-Ra, and the theme song comes on, and they're jumping up and down, and they're singing the song, and they're just enjoying it. They're loving it, and it makes your heart melt. It's beautiful. It makes me think of every stupid neckbeard guy who's like, I don't like it. It's like, well, then will these little girls like it? So shut the fuck up. And I think that the creative Lumberjanes, the thing that makes Lumberjanes so good is the relationships between the characters, and I think that's what she's done. Like, do you remember in the original She-Ra, Glimmer and Bo don't even know that Adora is really She-Ra. She's like, She-Ra's a secret identity. In the new show, they totally know, because there's very little difference. Like, she grows bigger and she gets more powerful, but in the old show, I think she had a different voice. I might be wrong. I know He-Man and Adam, I think, had different voices, or at least they played them differently. Yeah, it's really like they became. It's like She-Ra and He-Man in the old show was like Shazam, where like in the new show, it's like she's still Adora, but she gets bigger and stronger, but she's the same person basically.
When He-Man becomes He-Man, it's a totally different character of sorts.
Right.
Where She-Ra is still cognizant of being Adora.
Right.
So she still has the self-doubt where He-Man doesn't.
Right. There's that cool episode where she meets Perfumer and they're like, she's the one who's going to come and save us. And she like doesn't know what she's doing. And they're like, you don't know what you're doing. And she sort of improvises what to do. Yeah. But it's the power of friendship. It's the power of friendship.
Which I think is the overall theme. But
absolutely.
Again, to me, strongest episode, Princess Prom.
To me, the strongest episode is The Promise. This is an episode where we're inside the sort of, how would you put it? It's not a palace, but it's like this ancient ruin where she goes and she visits her mentor, who's not the sorceress. They can't use that name. There's a lot of weird
copyright infringement.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird licensing of what they're allowed to say and not allowed to say. So
basically she's like the digital query, like when you would like call up a customer service hotline.
Right. She goes, what is your query? So she's in there, and Catra follows her in, and there's like a sort of holodeck thing like from Star Trek where like it will show you the past or whatever, and through that device we see memories of She-Ra and Catra as little girls taking care of each other and being best friends, and it's very adorable, but it really gets into their relationship and how much Catra, from her point of view, you kind of feel for her because they grew up together. They were
abused.
They were abused, right? The mother, Shadow Weaver, like basically treated them like shit, but treated Catra more like shit. But they took care of each other, and then one day she was like, I don't believe in any of this anymore. I'm leaving you. Like, you can feel for Catra.
Catra's the most developed character that they have overall.
Right. The episode's called The Promise because as little girls,
she promised never to leave.
She-Ra says, I promise to take care of you and I'll stick with you.
Did you pick up on this? Did you see, I don't know if it was in the first or maybe the second episode, when they're still in, like, what is it called? The Shadowland?
Fright Zone.
When they're still in the Fright Zone, and there's a shot of them sleeping, and
she's sleeping at her feet. Yeah.
Of She-Ra.
Yeah.
Well, she's sleeping at the feet of Adora, Catra.
Yeah.
See, but Princess Prom, I think, showed this I don't know if it's sexual tension or just the hurt, but you could tell that she was a lover scorned, and she showed up to make Adora jealous, and that's what she did.
Somebody did, every time she sees Adora, she goes, hey, Adora. And somebody online did a montage of all the hey, Adoras. Well, can I read you a text conversation I had?
Please.
So, our friend Nadia, she's been on the show. She'll be on the show again.
She's wonderful.
Nadia and her girlfriend were watching it all weekend, and me and her were texting back and forth. So Nadia texts me, it is the gayest cartoon that ever existed. To which I say, gayer than Steven Universe? Nadia says, close second. Though Catra and Adora are pretty hot and heavy. I then ask her, are you a Catra Adora shipper? Nadia says, yes, it needs to be. And are you not? And I say, I am, but She-Ra needs to turn Catra to the good side. Nadia says, well, plot-wise, yes, but that makes it less steamy. Then I say, oh yeah, I'm showing the fanfic. They'll just meet in secret and have sex. Nadia says, I mean, that's how I would write it. Then I say, referring to what you were saying about how they sleep, I said to Nadia, there's an interesting sub-dom dynamic. Katra is the bad guy and she's aggressive, but she's also she's kind of a dom, but she's also at the same time kind of a sub because she like sleeps at Adora's feet and Adora's kind of the boss. To which Nadia corrects me and says, Katra is a power bottom.
Wow.
And I say, right, now I got it. And then I say, can I read this conversation on the podcast? And she said, yes. So I wanted to give Nadia's perspective because you and me are two cisgendered straight white dudes and Nadia is a gay person of color.
So nobody gives really a shit about what we're talking about.
No. But the internet is all full of guys like us who think that what we have to say is very important.
Yeah, I'm looking at a Reddit right now. It's very man-centric.
Really?
Yeah.
But if you go to the Princesses of Power subreddit, it's all like Katra She-Ra fan art.
True.
The Princess Prom was fun.
I
It's a
thought that was
cute
the
episode.
best episode, though. Because I'm also a sucker for 80s synth pop music.
Yes,
So, like,
sure.
that was sprinkled in throughout.
Yeah. You also got that Frosta, whatever
Yeah.
her name is, the like 8-year-old princess who's like mean.
She just saved the day, though.
So maybe you said this. Who's your favorite of the princesses outside of She-Ra?
Oh, it's the mermaid.
Mimosa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mimosa, and then I like Entraptra.
I like Entraptra too. In the original show, she's a villain, and in
I hope
this,
she goes back to good.
Well, I guess spoiler alert. 3, 2, 1. She kind of makes a turn and she starts good and turns bad.
Yeah, but she was tricked, though.
Yeah, she's not like. I think she's sort of like caught up in the badness. I don't think she's open. She's like evil. I don't know.
I think she has a form of special needs. I think she has Asperger's.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, actually. I could see her. I mean, if it's going by the old show, it might be because I forgot that she was bad in the first show, so it makes sense that she turns. But I could see her turning back. But that's an interesting episode too because they think that she died, and so like She-Ra and the other princesses feel this great guilt because they go on this mission and they lose her.
When do you think we get a He-Man
Well, here's the deal:
crossover hybrid thing?
Masters of the Universe.
Because eventually they have to explain what the origins of Grayskull are. I mean, they keep on saying Eternia.
Right. Masters of the Universe has been caught up in a development hell for the last 10 years, bouncing from one movie producer to the next, from one studio to the next. Somebody gets it and they say, we're going to do it. For a minute, Chow Yun-Fat was going to direct it, and then for a minute it was going to be, this person or that person. A couple of years ago, some producer on Twitter was sharing production art going, oh, this is what our characters are going to look like. That went nowhere. So Master Universe is all caught up in this legal thing. But and the producers of She-Ra Princess of Power don't have that license. But I think what will happen is because this show has been successful, and if whoever has a license has a brain, they'll license the characters to She-Ra. And I think they'll just...
Well, it would be to DreamWorks.
To DreamWorks, and then I think they can bring in Eternia and He-Man and Skeletor and those other people.
DreamWorks will do is once they finish up with Voltron, they'll have a bigger production budget, and I see She-Ra looking aesthetically better than what it does now.
I really like the way it looks now.
I think it could be better with the.
It's a little cheap, but
that's what I'm saying.
But the pinks and the I like that. Like
No,
I love the way.
I love the pinks. And
Yeah.
I love the overall aesthetic of it, and it has a really great feel, and it's always even
The
bright.
animation's not always great.
No, so
It could be a little clippy and stuff.
that's what I'm thinking. I think
Yeah.
that they could take the money that they were using with Voltron because Voltron's a beautifully done cartoon.
Okay.
But even that property within the DreamWorks house, they shit the bed and they fucked up with a couple of times too.
Really?
In terms of story.
Because I
and
wanted
art.
to ask you how you would compare the new Voltron to the new She-Ra. Because they're both DreamWorks. They both are 80s properties being redone for Netflix. Do they look alike? How would you compare them to one another?
She-Ra's more campy to the seriousness and the darkness of what Voltron is, and Voltron has a lot more cleaner line work, and the animation's not clippy, and they really rely on like the go-between from CGI and the animation, especially with the whole transformation scene. The transformation scenes in She-Ra look rather cheapish.
Although I do like that they sort of stick to the original show and they show her transform as much as possible doing the whole thing.
Now,
except for sometimes she does it off screen and you just hear it, which
I like.
Because that's what they did in the old show, and it was cheap in the old show, and in the new show it just seems like a fun
because she's running off to do
it's
something.
like a fun wink at what they used to do.
See, but I like the humor in this as well.
Yeah.
They know they don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah, well, like was in the first episode, Glimmer's like, "How did you do that?" And she's like, "I don't know. One second I was touching a sword, the next second I was wearing a tiara." Like, there's some funny bits in it. Like, they've got a horse that they call Horsey, and
Swiftwind.
Yeah, Swiftwind, who can speak in this,
which
and is
great.
Like intellectual. Yeah, like there's a part where Bo thinks he's gonna die, and he's like, "It's been an honor fighting with you, Horsey." So yeah, there's genuine funny shit in it. Kids love it. People love it.
I think one of the best things about Ketra is the fact that she's able to pry into others' insecurities by dumping her own onto them.
Yeah.
Because she's a very insecure person. You could tell, and that's why I think she's the most fleshed out of the entire cast of characters, because there's so much depth to this kid.
Because she's also a bad guy, but to the other bad guys, for a long time she doesn't tell them that she knows that Adora is She-Ra.
She never
So
told.
she like protects her even though she's against her.
She never told that Adora was She-Ra. It was the only reason why that they found that out was because of Shadow Weaver's spies.
Yeah.
Were following She-Ra.
Yeah.
That's the reason.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I also like Catra's design. They have two different color eyes.
And there's something going on with Shadow Weaver as well, where I think she was that princess in that in Glimmer's aunt's like Hall of Princesses, where her face was all shadowed out.
She's a weird character because she seems very protective of Adora, which makes me wonder if she did.
I think she was good.
She
and
does
then
know
she became
that.
bad.
Yeah, she also doesn't have natural power. She
got them
gets
from
her
the stone,
right,
which is originally from Scorpia's family,
right?
Because each princess has a stone, and that's where they draw their powers from, and they have the connection too.
The show makes an interesting thing where it makes magic and technology one and the same.
That's what Voltron did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and
which is fine, but then you would have to explain the technology when necessarily you don't have to explain the magic.
Yeah. In She-Ra, they just say the old ones, the originals who lived there.
See,
that's a new thing too. That she's not the first She-Ra.
No,
She-Ra is a moniker that other people take on.
She's the first She-Ra in 1,000 years.
Right.
The She-Ra previously couldn't handle the mantle of She-Ra.
Maybe the previous She-Ra is
Shadow Weaver.
Shadow Weaver, because Shadow Weaver wears a mask, and we know I forget the name, but we know that the last She-Ra like fucked
crazy.
Up. Yeah, went crazy.
We just solved this thing.
We just cracked it wide open, everybody.
Easily. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Shadow Weaver is the old She-Ra, and she wanted to keep her away from that because she knew.
Okay.
Like, oh shit, Adora.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense, actually. I want to see He-Man in the show, but
I don't actually.
You don't?
No. Let it stand alone on its own. I think She-Ra is going to be the thing that backdoors He-Man in. We'll probably get a pilot.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not someone who's like, oh, I want He-Man because He-Man's the one I really care about. Like, I think that this show's great. I think of all the He-Man and She-Ra shows, this is the best one there's been. This might be the best Masters of the Universe anything that's existed so far.
But it is ingrained in the DNA that you
right,
need
I'd
one
like to see,
with the other.
Actually, you know what? Really, be honest with you, I'd like to see Skeletor more than I'd like to see He-Man. I would love for Skeletor to exist in the show and for him to be a bad guy one season.
Because I think he would get it right where Hordak has been getting it wrong.
Yeah.
You bumbling oaf.
I'm also interested in how, like, you know, because it's got this very LGBTQIA aesthetic. It's got this very, like, sort of amazingly sort of queer, open, liberal thing. I would love to see how they do He-Man. And like I said before, it is amazing to me that it's this hugely progressive show that was born out of this 80s macho bullshit.
Yeah, but you also have to remember, too, that I think these are all young kids. So I don't think that Adora specifically, has or developed a sexual identity yet. I think specifically by the end of season 1, there was no real...
Right, well, that's what Noelle Stevens says. She says, like... when she's asked about the relationship, she says, it's kind of both and all. Like, if you want to read Catra and Adora romantically, you can, but it's sort of wide open. I think in the Etheria of this new show, there isn't any bigotry towards queer people. So, like, it wouldn't matter either way. Like, there wouldn't be any... people wouldn't have any guilt or maybe fear of being gay. So who knows? I don't know. I mean, you've got queer characters in Lumberjanes, and
then 2 princesses are lesbians within the
yes, that's right.
Yeah,
and Bo has 2 fathers.
Yes, and he has a bromance for Seahawk.
Yes, he does. Who I think is a cool character.
I love him, and then he loves the mermaid.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all about the relationships, folks. I hope second season has a bigger order. I'd like to see I would love to see 15.
I think 13 was enough, man.
What's amazing is the old show was 70 a season.
Oh.
Like those crazy shows are on every day. I don't know how they did it.
You don't think though? Let me ask you, because of the queer coding, you don't think they're overdoing that, or let me ask you this: do you feel that fans are taking their queer coding a little bit overboard and doing it where, because even the showrunner is saying no, it's not that. Yeah, you could think that.
Yeah.
But no, they're not that. They're just the really close friends trying to figure themselves out with all these burdens and responsibilities of trying to keep a country and a planet together.
What
I'm saying is,
I know exactly what you're saying.
More into it because we want to see that.
Here's what I think. I think that the fun of a show, especially a show like this, is the shipping and the fan art and stuff. And I think Noelle Stevens appreciates that. I don't think it's going to force her to change her vision. But I think she's happy to let you have your vision. To me, I think that's all healthy and fun and good and part of fandom. But if there comes a point where the fans say, no, She-Ra has to be this way, and Noelle Stevens says, well, that's actually not the way that I saw her. Because Noelle Stevens is a gay woman. So she it's not like she wouldn't want She-Ra to be gay. But if she doesn't see She-Ra as gay, and the fans say, well, she has to be, that would be a problem. Just like a couple of weeks ago, me and Vin were talking about with Doctor Who. Like, it's cool to have your own fan theories and stuff, but if you then get mad at the show for not doing the thing that you want it to do, then you're ruining your own fun and you're criticizing the show for something. So, look, if Catra and Adora never become a couple,
so what?
It's still an amazing show, and it's just that wasn't the vision. If you want that, go ahead and write it. Go ahead and make it. That's cool. That may not be the vision of the showrunner.
No, I think the show does a really good job with gender and diversity. So I look forward to seeing what they're going to do with season 2. I do get a kick out of the midriff shirt that Bo wears. Remember when they were in the springs, the rejuvenating springs, and they covered up even Bo's nipples, like he wasn't walking around shirtless?
Yeah.
So I like what they do with body type and body image specifically. So yeah, I'm not mad at it, man. I thought it was
fun.
A well done show.
I thought it was it was better than I thought it was going to be. I was always going to watch it just from nostalgia, but I ended up being like, well, I actually really like this.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, I don't know, people would argue with me, but I think right now we're in an awesome time for animation. And I think you just have really cool stuff happening.
Yeah. Well, I think it's targeting stuff for kids that could be heavy, but the animation is so bright and colorful that I think they could process it in a way where they know it's deep, but at the same time, too, they could walk away feeling, wow, this character feels the same way. Like Catra feels that she was directly abandoned
Right.
by Adora, who goes off and joins another princess's crew. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, you were supposed to be my main bitch. Now
Right.
you're besties with some other chick.
Right.
Like-
You totally feel her pain of betrayal.
Yeah. So I can understand that, and it's like, well, this is the only, for better or for worse, this is the only family that
Right.
we had, which was the evil horde.
Right. Which is
and-
abusive.
But that's where that Stockholm syndrome
Yeah.
comes in,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh shit, all right, but if I leave on my own, what do I do?
Right.
But see, also I think Ketra's more idealistic in the fact that she wants to change the horde from the inside out.
Yeah.
Where she thinks that, well, if I can assume the mantle of responsibility,
Right.
then I could change the institution and fix it from the inside.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's this sort of, in every way, it's a sort of female-centered show.
But the villains, I feel, are more fleshed out than the actual good guys. A little bit more. But I think the show has a solid foundation, and the creators, they
Yeah.
understand it. Like, they got
I
it.
hope season 2 comes quick.
I mean, it should. I mean, they turned around Voltron in,
Yeah.
like 2 seasons back to back.
Yeah.
So one right after the other. So we'll see what happens.
And I want the
hope
toys.
I hope they throw more money into it when Voltron's done this final season.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, you got to get the toys
You want to go bye-bye?
for the honor of Grayskull.
Yes.
Go bye bye.